I'm going to ask a very controversial question and yet make a very controversial statement. Now, here it says WWE should go off the air. But I pose the question to you: should WWE go off the air? I want you to weigh in on this. I mean, they're releasing so many superstars now. Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Maria Kanellis. I can't even name them all. They've released so many. I literally can't name them. I can't. I could only think of three off the top of my head because they've released so many. So forgive me for randomly picking Maria Kanellis, because I can't name them. They've released like 70 superstars, maybe more. But I think it's time for them to go. And guys, it's been time for them to go for a very long time now. Let me tell you why I say that. I say that because this didn't just start. They started going downhill by the end of 2001. And not even that. You see, when The Rock left, that's when it really hurt WWE. And you might say, well, you're putting everything on The Rock. First of all, I'm a huge Rock fan. My friend would make me these Rock tapes where he would put all of Rock's matches together with all of his promos, and I would watch that for hours. But anyway, this one tape that he made me, The Rock said something interesting on that tape. He told Larry King back in 2002. Larry King was interviewing The Rock, and Larry King said to The Rock, "Why do people go if they know it's choreographed?" And The Rock told Larry King, they go because they want to see good prevail over evil. That's why they go. They want to see the bad guy get what he deserves. That's basically what Rock was saying. But they don't have that now. That balance isn't there anymore. Because they're not making enough stars. And I think that they're doing this because they're afraid that the person is going to become big and eventually leave the company, like Dave Bautista, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like John Cena. Haven't you noticed there haven't been any more stars since Cena? There haven't been any more. Why? Because they're afraid they're going to leave. I think it's time for them to go. And I say it started in '01. Let me tell you why I say that. Like I said in one of my previous podcasts, it goes like this. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had to leave WWE to film Scorpion King. He left in April of 2001, right? So Stone Cold Steve Austin basically turned heel. And what do? What do? They used The Undertaker and Kane to take Austin's and The Rock's place. Now, like I said on the podcast, I'm not speaking against Mark Calloway. I like The Undertaker. I would like to meet The Undertaker. But The Undertaker is no Rock. The Undertaker is no Steve Austin. They need somebody with enough star power to sustain WWE while Rock is gone. And while Steve Austin was heel, they shouldn't have turned Steve Austin heel. What they should have done was let Steve Austin stay a babyface, and then they could have brought in the Alliance, and then they could have had the Alliance beat up Steve Austin every week or something like that. And then maybe Steve Austin could try to rally up the WWE troops, back then WWF troops, and try to find a way to stop the Alliance, or he could have at least fend off the Alliance until Rock got back. That's the way they should have booked that. But no, that's not what they did. Instead, what did they do? They booked this piss poor attempt at turning Stone Cold heel. And it was like literally the worst thing I've ever seen. Because you had nobody to take Rock's place. Because Stone Cold was the heel. So who was going to be the face? They picked different people. They tried it with Undertaker. They tried it with Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. It just didn't work. You needed The Rock to balance out the whole good versus evil thing. Like he said, they tried it with all these different people during the summer of '01, and it didn't work. So that's what started the downfall. And then, what happened? I went over these things in previous wrestling videos. What happened then? Then, what did they do? They did that stupid ass draft in March of 2002. Again, that hurt WWE. And then what happened? Stone Cold would walk out of the company in June of 2002. And what did they do? This time Austin was gone. And so what did they do? They had to bring The Rock in. But hey, The Rock couldn't stay long, remember? Because he had to go film The Rundown. So he could only stay from about June to August. And then by the time August got here and SummerSlam got here, they knew he was leaving, so they just booed him out of the building. Because they already knew he was leaving that night. I guess it leaked on the internet that he was leaving. Because by 2002, they started doing spoilers. And you might say, why are you going all the way back to 2002? Because WWE's problems didn't just start. They've been having problems for years. And that's because they never really built that next star. Yeah, they had Cena, but how long did it take him to even become a quote-unquote star? Yeah, he made movies, but he didn't, make that instant hit like The Rock did. Cena didn't become what you call a quote-unquote star until about what? 2016, maybe? Then that's when he left WWE. Look at how long he was there. From 2002 to 2016. It took him a long time. Rock was an instant hit. He debuted in 1996, and by 1999 or 2000, I think it was 2000, by 2000 he was already on Star Trek Voyager. He had already had a cameo in The Mummy Returns. So he broke out basically after 3 or 4 years. They don't have that today. because WWE is not booking the stars properly to become bigger stars so that they can go outside of WWE and get a bigger audience for WWE. And their biggest problem, WWE's biggest problem today, is that they try to be all things to all people. And I have news for you, WWE. Nobody can be all things to all people. No one can do that. Nobody can. And you might say, well, Myers fan, what do you mean? How do they try to be all things to all people? I will tell you. Let's take a show like WWE Raw, right? The first hour, they might do something like, they might have wrestling, like just regular wrestling. And then the second hour, they might do that goofy thing with the 24/7 championship, which is really just a recycled version of the hardcore title. And then the third hour, they might curse, or they might let the divas, or whatever you call them now, they might let them dress in a sexy manner to keep the adult fans watching. They try to be a little something for everyone, and you can't do that. You can't be all things to all people. You have to have consistent booking, consistent storytelling. You're either going to be a violent sport or you're not. You're either going to be an edgy sport, an edgy product, or you're not. You can't say you're PG and yet have a sport where you take steel chairs and bash people over various body parts. It doesn't work that way. Stop trying to be all things to all people and pick and choose what you finally want to be. Who and what are you going to be? Make up your mind. What are you going to be? You're either going to be WWE or you're going to be Sesame Street. What's it going to be? We've been complaining about this since 2010. The WWE has become way too childish. Period. You have storylines where Sheamus is supposed to be this badass from Ireland, and yet he says that Beaker from Sesame Street or the Muppets or whatever it is his cousin. You have Scooby-Doo teaming up with John Cena in a cartoon. What the hell are you doing? And you expect people to take this crap seriously. And some of you are going to say, well, why would you take wrestling seriously when you know it's choreographed? No. I know it's scripted. In other words, what I mean is you expect people to become seriously invested in your product and look at what you're presenting to them. I know you don't want to alienate the children, but there were children 20 years ago when I was watching, and you didn't seem to be concerned about that. You're afraid that different people are going to back out of sponsoring and backing WWE, and I understand that fear. Because having a YouTube channel, I have to be responsible for what I say. I can't just let all kinds of nonsense fly out of my mouth. Because I bring celebrities on here. And if I say something that's deemed inappropriate, it could compromise the celebrity's image. So it's more than likely that the agent or the management won't let the celebrity come on here. So I understand your fears. But what I'm saying to you is, I'm quite sure they'll let you get away with it. You're WWE. I think you'll be just fine. With some of the crap that you've pulled over the years, I'm pretty sure you'll be good. Because you've done some questionable stuff. Believe me. So I'm pretty sure you'll be good. You have to stop trying to be everything to everyone. Choose what you're going to be and stick with it. Because this damage is looking like it's irreparable, like it can't be fixed. And I'm thinking maybe it's just time for WWE to go. You've had a good run, but it's like it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse with all these firings, and now you might be going back to the Thunderdome because of the health crisis. Maybe it's just time to wrap it up, because I guarantee you, next thing you know, we're going to be having John Cena versus Tommy from Rugrats. That's going to be next. Why? Because you're trying to appeal to kids. I'm surprised Michael Myers hasn't come to WWE. I'm surprised that you didn't get James Jude Courtney to dress up as Michael Myers and come to WWE to promote Halloween Kills. I'm surprised you didn't do that yet. You give Halloween a shout out every year anyway. What's the difference? Why don't you get Stephanie McMahon to fight Judy Greer from Halloween? Or let Stephanie fight Jamie Lee Curtis. Or let Stephanie fight Andy Matichak, Allison Strode from Halloween in a steel cage match for the women's title. That's my biggest issue with you. You cannot decide who you want to be. You keep trying to be all things to all people, and that's one of your biggest problems. And you're not building stars. And for crying out loud, get rid of the stupid brand split. You stopped abiding by the rules years ago anyway. So why do you still have it? Do you realize that's the only storyline from the Attitude Era that's still going? And I know this because the brand split started in 2002. March 2002 to be exact. And the Attitude Era didn't end until May of 2002. That's how I know. So get rid of it. You're not even going by the rules anymore. You can't be all things to all people. Let it go. Or otherwise go off the air. Because I just have a feeling WWE is just going to keep going down and down and down. And like I always say, there's no decline like a slow decline. Should WWE go off the air? I'm thinking if the ratings don't increase, maybe they should. What do you think? Weigh in on this in the comments section. I'm the Michael Myers fanatic, and I approve this message. Thank you very much for watching.